how busy it is. We are really honored and we feel very special that he actually took time to speak with us. That you would have joined us live, but we will take whatever moments you can spare us.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. George, just let me ask you a couple of questions. I know your time is very tight. What are you doing in this tour that you are? What message are you bringing to the people in the United States?
I think the message is that Palestine is the key. It's the heart of the matter. And unless it's resolved, there'll be no peace in the Middle East. And if there's no peace in the Middle East, there'll be no peace in the world. Because increasingly, as we found in both your country and mine, the kind of madness of terrorism and violence is spreading everywhere, because there's a swamp of hatred being sown out there in the world, especially the Muslim world, because of the injustice that has been done, not just to Palestine, but to other Muslim countries, and the double standards that we take towards the law-breaking of Israel and its continued aggression and occupation.
We talked to Yvonne Ridley a couple of weeks ago, and she filled us in on what went on in Gaza.
Yes.
Were you shocked at the amount of damage and destructions that you witnessed there in Gaza?
Well, I was really, and I thought I was prepared for it. I've been active on the Palestinian scene for 35 years. I've seen many a massacre. I've walked in the ruins of Sabra and Shatila and Jenin. I was in Lebanon 2 years ago, just after the bombardment of both the south of Lebanon and Dahia suburbs of Beirut. But it was worse than all of those. And the made even more compounded, really, by the siege, which means that not a brick can be laid, not a window can be repaired. The reconstruction cannot begin because of the siege, and the people are literally hungry because of the siege.
George, let me ask you a question. You know, we as Palestinians, we feel that you are the Palestinian representative at in the British Parliament. Do you introduce legislation in the British Parliament to rescind the Balfour Declaration, if that has any meaning?
Well, it would have only symbolic meaning, but it couldn't be done in any case. The only people who can introduce legislation are the government, and I'm a one-man parliamentary party. But I keep up my agitation in Parliament. I have to walk past the door of the room where Balfour made that declaration every day. And every day I'm reminded that the British in their colonial past were the author of this Palestinian tragedy. That's one of the reasons why I've spent most of my life dedicating myself to this cause.
Now, if the Balfour Declaration somehow symbolically, or enough people in England symbolically rescind that, the government would have to actually undo what was done, or at least do the right thing for the Palestinians. Don't you think?
As I say, only the government can introduce legislation. And
Okay.
There's no way that they would do. There's no way that they would do that. And in any case, you can't roll back the videotape back to 1917 and erase that which has happened. What we need to do now is live up to our historic responsibilities to atone for that original sin. And that's what I spend a lot of time trying to press successive British governments to do. But, Mr. Blair defined himself as Israel's best friend in the world. And there's a lot of competition for that title. And he wasn't lying for once. He really was Israel's best friend in the world. And I'm afraid Gordon Brown's not much different.
Was it odd to you when you went to Canada and they did not allow you, but on the same day they allowed George Bush? I mean, you took over 100 vehicles to Gaza full of medicine and toys for children. On the other hand, George Bush sent hundreds of tanks and F-16s and missiles and killed over 1 million Iraqis. Was it odd that they allowed him? How did you feel that I did this good thing for the children of Gaza, and this man who did this horrible thing to the children of Iraq? Was that an irony to happen on the same day?
Yes. I don't know why the Canadian government seems determined to undo the reputation of Canada, which was high in the world until a few years ago. It was seen as the kinder, gentler country in North America. It was seen as a country that believed in peace rather than war, in peacekeeping rather than invasion. And yet, over the last few years, we've seen a reversal of that. And the Canadian government is now more royal than the king, more Catholic than the Pope, more so-called anti-terrorist than the United States Patriot Act and all.
Okay, I won't keep you for much longer, but one question I have to ask you. Are you taking sides in the Palestinian internal conflict?
No, not at all. I'm for the success of the unity talks. I don't mind telling you that I'm not a supporter of Hamas. I never have been. I spent the best years of my life literally sitting at the side of the late and great President Arafat. If I had a vote for president, it would be for Marwan Barghouti, banged up in an Israeli jail. But I'm a supporter of the Palestinian people and their right to resist and their right to choose their own leaders. And the reason Gaza is under siege is because they voted for a government that Britain, America, and Israel don't like. And I just don't believe that you can, or even should try, certainly can't, choose the representatives of all other people. You have to accept the representatives they choose. And they chose a Hamas-led government. But I hope that a national unity government can come to pass again and soon, because this division in the Palestinian rights is disastrous for them and for those of us trying to help them outside.
George, I know you have a lot of things to do and you're running on a tight schedule. Hopefully, once you get back into England, we will have you for a full hour on Current Issues TV. Thank you very much. And it's an honor speaking to you. Thank you, sir.
All the best. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Very good, ladies and gentlemen. That was George Galloway.